Psalm 105. Let's think about. I'm going to reread from what we have as verse 5. Remember the wonders he has done, his miracles, and the judgments he pronounced. You, his servants, the descendants of Abraham, his chosen ones, the children of Jacob. And then verse 7. He is the Lord our God. His judgments are in all the earth. I get the first part. He is the Lord our God. When you look in your Bible at that verse, you'll see that the word Lord is in small caps. I've talked about it before, but this is representative of the Tetragrammaton. So we'll just move on. No, I'm not. I'm just kidding. You remember the Tetragrammaton is the theological, if there's such a thing as clinical theological terminology, then that it fits in that category. It's the term for the name of God, the name that He spoke, and the name that He gave to Israel for Himself. But the first three commands, the third of the 10, the third command is, you will not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. And the ancient Hebrews were so serious about not breaking that command that they took the name that God had given them for Himself, and best thought is they pulled some letters out, or in Hebrew it would have been characters, so that what we have for this, the closest we can come, is Yahweh. But that's not the exact word name that God gave the Israelites. I don't know that that means it makes any difference to anybody's life unless you get on Jeopardy. And if you do, and the category is ancient Hebrew words, you may be able to make a few bucks on that. Okay. He is the Lord our God. Yeah. That's kind of one of those, well, no duh. But it wasn't in the day in which this psalm was written. We can't lose sight of the fact that the world was then not like it is today. The religions of the world were incredibly superstitious and pagan in nature. They invented gods to explain, for the most part, natural phenomenon, and to create a cultural system where religion had power over people. And there are atheists today, I am told. I've not encountered one directly, but there are people today who believe, well, that's what Israel did. They just invented a god to explain the natural phenomenon that they couldn't explain in any other way. And oh, by the way, yes, it was quite superstitious. No. The Lord, He is the Lord our God. Now, there's a lot that goes into that, but just this much is probably sufficient. He is our God. Now, how do we make anything ours? Well, in two ways. One, it is given to us, in which case we must receive in order to for it to be ours. The other is we choose it for ourselves. In both cases, I think that's true of the Lord our God. And then don't miss this little thing, but it's not such a little thing really when you look at the biggest picture. That the Lord is our God. Again, for the Hebrew, ancient Hebrew, their belief was no one else was his chosen people. I mean, the verse before, the descendants of Abraham, his chosen ones, the children of Jacob. It was a very exclusive religion. And I'll replow a little bit of ground and say one of the great gifts of God's grace to us after Calvary, after Jesus, is that it's not exclusive. It's inclusive. Now, I've got to defend or kind of define my terms here. First of all, God now is saying you don't have to have a certain DNA to be my chosen people. He has opened the gate, opened the door for all people. There is one sense in which it is still exclusive. And it's this. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Now, I will say there are many roads that may lead us to discover Jesus, but there's only one way to God, and that is through Jesus. And in that sense, Christianity is exclusive. You don't get there. You don't get to God. You don't connect with God. You can't be saved by Him in a variety of different ways. Well, the circumstances may be varying, and the pace and speed at which we respond yes, it varies. But there's only one way. I remember when I was a kid in the 60s, this was during the Jesus Revolution, this became the Christian salute, one way. And, all right, the Lord, He is the Lord, our God. All right. And then this second phrase, and this is a phrase I'm not sure exactly how to interpret. His judgments are in all the earth. Okay. I'm going to go with the what I think is the most obvious. God doesn't just judge a certain group of people or people in a certain place. His judgment is all over, wherever the world is. His judgment is there. So that it's not like, well, one of the reasons that I think it would have been said this way is because the ancient pagans believed their gods were very local. There were gods of the hills, gods of the plains, gods of the valley, where when you crossed the border between nations, the gods changed in many cases. And one of the aspects of his judgments are in all the earth is that there are no boundaries for God's judgment. It extends wherever people are on the face of the earth. when the term here, in all the earth, it's not like in the earth as in buried, or it's on the earth. I really, beyond that, I'm not sure I have much of an understanding of it. There is a little aspect of this that God's judgments are in all the earth, even what he created calls and directs my attention to the fact that the one who is powerful enough to do that, he's the judge. And so treat him with the appropriate respect, even fear. All right, is any of that going to change your life or my life? In the last 3 minutes we've got, let's think out loud together about what difference does this make. First of all, he is the Lord our God. I'm not trying to throw guilt, but I am going to throw a challenge. Wouldn't it be a good idea for all of us to look into our lives and discern as best we can when people observe our life, what will they get as an indicator of who our God is or what our God is? Well, if we're not careful, there are all kinds of things that will become our God. Our position, our popularity, our acceptance, our reputation. These are not evil things, but they become evil when they are made into my God. Money, power. It comes down to what is at the center, the controlling center of my life. I mean, my default answer is, well, God is. Okay. Kind of do a little quick audit. Because the question is, really? If you are the kind of person that looks ahead into the new year and begins formulating some plans, whether you call them resolutions or goal setting or just self-reflection, the passing of this old year of 2023 is a little bit of a gateway to think reflectively and answer the question, who is at the center, at the core, at the controlling center of my life? And then his judgments are in all the earth. For me, it comes down to, I can't forget that I can't go anywhere that God is not. If I'm wherever I can be, he is already there. The theological term is, he is omnipresent. He's present everywhere. And I can't explain it. I certainly don't understand it, that how he can be everywhere for everyone all at the same time. Can't figure it out, but I do believe it. And because of that, if his judgments are in all the earth, it's not like he's waiting with a lightning bolt in his hand to fire it off on us when we step out of line, but he can't miss my behavior. He notices, and so it'd be a smart thing for me to take care and notice it myself. Well, I hope God will give you something even better than what I had today. And I'll see you next time on Soul Care with Stevie Boy.